Hi, I'm Dave Wurzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Bookshelf. And with me today is Tina Rosala. She is the head of Teen and Youth Services at Palos Heights Public Library. Tina, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to this. We're going to get some new selections. If you've seen this show in the past, you know we talk about books that may be on our shelf now or might be on the shelf in the future, a variety of categories we'll recommend books from. And today we have Tina, especially with her background, we're going to bring some new titles to you. So we will do regular books for regular adults, but we'll also do some children's books, some young adult books. And, and then we're going to do a little preview at the end with books coming out this summer. Okay. So let's do this. Let's dive right into this. I think I'm going to go first. And I'm going to jump in. In the spirit of the day, I am going to do a children's book with you. And I'm going to take a look at my category is, let's see. My category is all-time children's classic, and I'm doing Goodnight Gorilla. Have you ever seen this book, Tina?
I have.
You have? So maybe you want to give it the giveaway. And this book is very interesting. This book came out in 1996, so it's been around for a while. And I wondered if it still worked. The last several years, my wife and I have been giving it out to families, having children, and birthday presents for little kids. It's a board book. And when our kids were little, we went through it several times. Like we had to go out and buy another book, and another book because we're going, looking at it so often. Great little story about the zookeeper in the zoo putting the animals to sleep at night. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's something a little bit odd of what's missing from this book. Go ahead.
It's been a while since I've read
it. If you don't remember, there's no words in it. There's a few words at the end. So when you read this book, you're actually going to be telling the story to your kids. We had a lot of fun with it. And I hear that parents are still enjoying it with their kids and, going through multiple editions because it's so liked. So anyway, my all-time children's classic recommendation for you is Goodnight Gorilla by Peggy Rathman. All right, let's see. Tina, you're up and your category is tough stuff.
Yes.
Okay, what have you got for us?
So I think that it's important to remember that, yes, picture books are fun and they're great and they're silly, but also picture books can help families and children's deal with like the tough issues that things are going on. And so the first book that I have up is Outside Inside, and it is by Liu Wen Pham. And this book, it's very much dealing with what the world is going through right now in the pandemic. And we're seeing things through the eyes of a child. And she is seeing that pretty much when the pandemic started, everything that was going on outside, everyone just went inside, except for the essential workers and things. And then gradually, people started going outside, and there were real and pretend fences with social distancing. That's how she envisions it in her head, is that there's pretend fences and she knows that she needs to keep her distance from grandma and grandpa. And birthday parties, people are still having birthdays, but there are no longer parties. So I think that this is a very important book that, again, like I said earlier, deals with what the world is going through right now. It is a book about, yes, the struggles and things that we all have gone through, but it's also a book about hope. And I think that this explains it well to children.
I think that's a great message to work with too, that this is a difficult time, obviously maybe more difficult for some than others, but certainly children are going through a very strange time period. And also the great possibility in using a picture book to kind of help a parent navigate that with your, son or daughter. How do you handle that stuff? How do what lens do you look at it through? All right, good. So Outside Inside. You're going to do one more tough stuff book for us, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So my next one is Don't Hug Doug, because he doesn't like it. And it is written by Carrie Finnison. And this is just, again, I think it is an important book for children as well as adults, that you know, you need to respect boundaries, not just for grown-ups, but for kids as well. And sometimes kids don't want to be hugged, just like adults. I don't want to be hugged all the time. And it's important to remember that that doesn't mean that Doug here doesn't like you. It just means that he doesn't like being squeezed, or he doesn't like being surprised or squished. But Doug likes high fives and he likes playing the harmonica. So I think this is also just another one of those important picture books that reminds us to respect boundaries and to also, you know, get consent from little ones and ask them, hey, can I hug you? Even though you might just want to rush up and hug them for their birthday, you also should ask, is it all right if I give you a hug, Doug?
That's a great message, you know, especially with children, there's an element of vulnerability, right? And
Yes.
you know, the message, no, it's
Yeah.
okay, you know, if you don't want to be hugged, that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And also probably helping adults become more aware of that too in the process, you know.
No,
All right, great.
absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to continue. We're going to move towards something a little bit more young adult like, right? I
Mhm.
think I'm up here, and we're going to take a look at this is a nonfiction title, young adult. It is a young adult book, but I'm going to say it's a good read for adults too. I'm actually in a book club with adult teachers and retired teachers, and one of the teachers was going to use this book in his classroom, so we decided to read it, you know, with him to see what he was going to go through. And you know, so this group of teachers, we all read it. And I'm going to say, going into it, you can tell from the title, More Deadly Than War by Kenneth C. Davis, you know, tells the hidden history of the Spanish flu and the First World War. And I remember when our book club talked about reading this book, I was like, you know, during COVID and the pandemic, do I really want to read this thing? And well, we decided, no, let's do it. And it turned out to be a great read, very fascinating, very interesting. And you know, it wasn't like a dark book to read while a pandemic was going on. If anything, it was very, very fascinating. So just a quick caveat for this book, it was actually published in 2018. So it was written and then published before the pandemic we're experiencing started. And it's interesting to read it through that lens. So the author doesn't, you know, he's not experiencing what, you know, we're experiencing now. And you know, I learned a lot in this book. So, you know, it definitely is for like a maybe junior high, high school audience. But there are a lot of things I learned. Spanish flu is one of its names, not its only name, and maybe its most inaccurate name. You know, I think the best research they show is that the Spanish flu probably originated on a farm in Kansas. It was taken by a worker there who joined the army, went to training, and then, you know, from there it spread. The U.S. Army probably brought it overseas to Europe. You know, and a lot more about it, you know, wearing masks and going to school or not going to school, and you know, how the government navigated that in, you know, with the backdrop of World War I taking place and then the US, you know, joining that. Very interesting book. I actually would recommend this to young adults, but definitely to adults too. And I know the topic may not be one we want to read about, but it's very, very fascinating. And you know, I can't I don't know if I don't want to give more than that away. It's just it's a very good book. Okay.
No, sounds great.
Okay, we're going to continue. Tina, you're going to give us a, let's see, popular young adult author.
Yes. Yes. So Victoria Aveyard, she is a best-selling author, and she is known for the Red Queen series. And she has started up another series. This book was just published, I believe, this month. It just came out in May. And if you try going to a library to find it, you're going to have to place a hold on it because it is, you can't find it on any shelves right now. The title is Realm Breaker. And the inspiration for this book, the author has said that she was inspired by The Lord of the Rings. So great for fans of that fantasy world. And her books are awesome because she loves to create her own world for her readers. And she definitely takes you there. And it's like none other. And she has like lots of lines and twists in her stories. So the main description is what happens when the hero fails. And in this book, there is a big enemy with a powerful army, and he wants to burn all the kingdoms to ash. And this band of misfits comes together, and they don't even like each other, but they have a common enemy. And you have a pirate, you have a witch, you have a prince, there's a bounty hunter, there's a fugitive. So they came together because they have a common enemy. And how are they going to defeat this person who just wants to take over everything and burn everything down? So it's very thrilling.
No, it sounds really interesting, really exciting. It reminds me a little bit of the Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder type worlds, you know, the characters on a quest, different backgrounds or talents or strengths, I guess. I haven't read anything by this author. What age group is this for, would you say?
um Trying to think of, we have a lot of seventh graders coming in, but also a lot of high school students. So I'm going to say grades like 6 to 12.
Okay. So late grade school, maybe definitely junior high through high school, it
Yes.
sounds like, right? Okay. It sounds really I might have to, I'd like to pick up the young adult book once in a while to see what the kids are reading. This sounds like something I'd like to take a look at. Sounds really good.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that, share. I'm going to recommend a regular adult book, the popular author, interesting characters. Um, I know Tana French has a lot of fans out there. I have not read any of her books yet. This is my first book, and I'm not even sure how it compares to her others. I know she's very, very popular with some others, you know, New York Times best-selling author. This book will cause me to go back and read some of her others. So this book came out in October of 2020. And it's going to sound cliche, and I almost hate to say this, but the main character is a retired Chicago policeman who moves to Ireland because he was tired of that life as a policeman in Chicago, and you know what that meant. And while he's in Ireland, you know, he buys a home and he's fixing it up. And of course, he gets, you know, drawn into a type of mystery or crime, maybe. And I know that part sounds a little bit cliche, but the characters and the setting make it, you know, original and make it very, very compelling and interesting. And I'll just leave it at that. It's a good read. It's definitely worth taking a look at. So that's mine. Let's see. Now we're going to come back to another young adult book.
Yes.
All right, young adult
Funny.
family sci-fi.
Yes. And it's funny that you just talked about a retired Chicago police officer, because this book takes place in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So The Cost of Knowing came out in April, and it is by Brittany Morris. I haven't had the chance to read this book yet, but it is definitely on my must-read list. She is the best-selling author of Slay, also a young adult novel. And this book is about a boy, Alex. He is an older brother to Isaiah, who is 12 years old. As I said before, the family lives in Chicago, and they had gotten into a car accident with their parents. And the interesting is, ever since that car accident, anything that Alex touches, he is able to kind of see a glimpse or a moment into the future. And so he touches like a ice cream scoop, and he gets an image of himself using it later to have ice cream. So somewhere along the lines in the story, Alex touches a photo, and he sees that his 12-year-old brother Isaiah dies. And throughout the rest of the book, he is kind of trying to see if there's a way that he could stop this from happening, or if there's a way that he could make the most out of the time that he has left with his brother. And it's definitely has a lot of brotherly love, sibling relationships in here, as well as, like I mentioned earlier, their family dynamic. And just what their life is like growing up in Chicago and being African American. And it this book is packed. It deals with a lot of things, and it's definitely on my to read list. Like I said, she was a best-selling author of Slay, and yeah, it's
Well,
one I look forward to picking up.
to say that you've sold me. I want to put it on my to read list. Is it, even though it's sci-fi, I think a lot of people think of sci-fi like outer space or other planets or the future. Is it
Right.
set now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the setting is now. So in that respect, it'll feel very real, but it's the use of these powers that kind of push it into a science fiction category, right?
Correct.
Boy,
Mhm.
that sounds really interesting, and especially the Chicago, setting probably adds another element to it.
Mhm.
Good. All right, good. That's something to look forward to. Um, all right, so I'm going to recommend another book that is just landed on my shelf. I haven't read it. I'm going to give you a little bit of what some publishers are saying about it. This book is The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee. I've seen her interviewed, and I'm really looking forward to this. You can take a look at the subtitle there, What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together. So this fell into my books that make you think and rethink. Um, so in this book, she travels the country. She talks to a variety of people. People, uh, uh, just everybody. This isn't like a black person's perspective or a Hispanic person's perspective or a single group. She talks to everybody. Uh, and she talks to them about what their life is like, and the things that they struggle with, and they're what losing your home, or what are your dreams, or the job that you want to have. And she talks about racism and greed and how they kind of factor into this. And I think what we're going to find, or what I understand from the interviews and the publishers, is that she's taking a look at the zero sum uh, philosophy, which she is going to say is, the zero sum paradigm doesn't actually work. This idea that only my life can only be better at the expense of somebody else's life. So if this person gains, that person must lose. The premise she's going to be working with is, no, we can all prosper together. What's good for this person A is, good for person B. Doesn't matter your racial, ethnic, socioeconomic status. And I've heard her talk about it. It sounds very fascinating. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at this. And I'm gonna recommend it now, and hopefully I'll be, in a few months I'll be saying, read it, done it. This is the book for you.
Now,
All
I
right.
love that book cover. Like that it immediately just jumped out to me, like the colors and the action. Like it looks like he's jumping into a pool. Like I
Yeah,
like
and
it.
and I know there's some great stories. I've read some of these. I know she will. That if you go back into the past in the U.S., where not allowing black people and white people to use a swimming pool, so white people would deny themselves a swimming pool, so that black people could also be denied the swimming pool, kind of thing. And she's going to address some of that thinking, and obviously that cover is a nod to it. But you're right. This cover, it's a great specific encapsulation of that issue, probably,
Yeah.
the action of it. All right, let's see, let's continue. We're gonna look at books that may be on your shelf or my shelf or somebody else's shelf. We're gonna continue to recommend some. And these are books coming out soon now. And you've got a summer romance one here.
Yes. So every summer, I don't know why, I just gravitate toward the summer romance book. And this book, The Summer of Lost Letters, it's by Hannah Reynolds. It Reading the description, this book doesn't come out until June 15th. Um, but reading the description, I kind of got, it reminded me of The Notebook a little bit. I don't know if you've seen that movie or read that book.
Familiar with both, yeah.
Yeah. But it is about this 17-year-old girl. Her name is Abby, and her grandmother has recently passed away. And all of her grandmother's things have been delivered to her house. And she is going through all of this stuff, and she comes across these love letters from this man named Edward. And he lives in a mansion in Nantucket. And pretty much she is learning that her grandmother had a whole other life that she didn't even know about. So it's the summer, she's 17, she decides to go to Nantucket and see what else she can learn about her grandmother's past and this life that she had. And while in Nantucket, she actually meets Edward's grandson. His name is Noah. And for some reason, Noah kind of wants to stop Abby from digging more and finding out more answers to her grandmother's past. So it has a little bit of mystery, it has some romance, and yeah, it's one that I want to read by the pool.
And that's the fun thing. I mean, I like the shift there. I gave you The Sum of Us, which is, to me is probably not a poolside book. Maybe it is for some people, but I would agree that for the summer, yeah, I think I'd like to read something a little bit more either fun or emotional or not something that's going to make me work overtime in my brain trying to wrap my head around, some, serious, intense issue. Or if I do, this looks like a great break here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The Summer of Lost Letters. Nice, what a great title too. All right, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one, I think. Let me see. So this book is out already, and it came out. I'm trying to think when did this came out, in the fall of last year, like November, I believe. And this is Think Again by Adam Grant. Or, no, it wasn't the fall. Maybe it was February. Yeah, I think it was February of this year. And it was on my to read, like might be on my shelf, ended up on my shelf. And since then I've read it. And I think it's a great book. I'd recommend it to anybody. Uh, but this is going to be, so if any of my family members or friends with this age group, they know what their gift is going to be. They're going to be getting a copy of Think Again by Adam Grant. Specifically, high school students can read this book, but I think great for a grad at that level or the college level. And since I talked about it, I'll keep it really short. The premise he's working with is the importance of rethinking how we think about things. And the example he uses, and I think I mentioned before, is that we change our hairstyles, we keep them up to date, we buy new clothes, we don't dress the way we dressed, in my case 30 or 40 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We buy new clothes and we want to be fashionable. We renovate our kitchen or our furniture, or whatever. And yet, people will hang on to ideas that they had 30 or 40 years ago. And the kind of irony in that, he explores that concept. And the book is divided into three parts. The first part is the importance of you, the reader, thinking again, like revisiting your beliefs and your ideas. The second part is about how to have that conversation with others. So encouraging others to think again. And then the third part is making that idea part of a lifelong, experience. And it's great for teachers and parents as well. Um, I thought it was definitely worth taking a look at, this idea of, and the way he put it is this: the ability to think again is part of, being happy and successful. If you're able to do those things, being able to, if you're going to be happy and successful, part of it will be your ability to, be able to think again. So that's my recommendation for everybody, but especially high school and college grads. All right. Let's see, we got another, let's see, book here coming soon. Popular young adult author. Tina, what about this one?
Yes. So Nicola Yoon, she is the author of The Sun is Also a Star and Everything, Everything. And both of those books have been made into movies. And I think that this is just another hit for her. It's popular young adult author, but it is also another one of those romance books. And this is coming out June 1st. Pretty much it's an opposites attract situation where Evie is very level-headed and she just broke up with her boyfriend and she wants to try something new. So she ends up signing up for learning how to dance in a dance studio. And her opposite is a boy. His name is X, just the letter X. And he pretty much says yes to everything, including signing him and his new dance partner, Evie, into a ballroom dance competition. And it's really just learning about each other. And the interesting thing about Nicola Yoon is if you've read The Sun is Also a Star or Everything, Everything, you learn that you need to pay attention to characters early on because they all weave into each other. So if you see a struggling guidance counselor and Nicola Yoon talks about him early on in the book, you need to remember him because you're going to see him come up again later, and he is going to be pretty much important to the story. So something about her writing style is, I don't know if you're familiar with the show This Is Us, is all the characters are intertwined. And that I think is why her books work so well, is because she doesn't just throw someone in there just for the sake of throwing them in there. Like, this character has a purpose, and he may not seem like an important character, but you'll
It
see him.
sounds interesting. I've seen This Is Us. I do like it. I like books that do what you're saying, where you meet characters, and I'm reading a book like that right now, where you meet several characters and then you begin to see how their lives are going to intersect with each other. And I like it. It makes for interesting reading, watching those connections, happen and what they mean, where they go.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Instructions for dancing.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to throw another one in here. This is going to be on my shelf soon. It's not there yet. And I'm going to recommend a nature book. It sounds really fascinating. It's got some good reviews. A Most Remarkable Creature, The Hidden Life and Epic Journey of the World's Smartest Birds of Prey by Jonathan Myberg. This book is, I guess I'm going to tell you what some of the publishers and, Amazon will say about it. This book just came out in March, so it's a very recent arrival. How about this description? An enthralling encounter of a modern voyage of discovery as we meet the clever social birds of prey called caracaras, which puzzled Darwin, fascinate modern-day falconers, and carry secrets our planet's deep past in their family history. A Most Remarkable Creature is a hybrid of science writing, travelogue, biography, as generous and accessible as sophisticated and absolutely riveting. I've heard, caracaras, in this case, ravens and crows specifically, are incredibly intelligent. If you haven't seen the YouTube video of I think it's a crow, or is it a raven, going sledding down the roof of a house and then it has a little, I forget what it uses, but it repeats the process like it's plain and fun. I've heard these birds are incredibly intelligent. I mean, they rival the intelligence of, some of the most intelligent animals, so I'm going to recommend that one out there. I'm looking forward to taking a look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
I had a birds of prey program at the library, and I do need to tell you that all birds terrify me. And I had this program in October because I'm like, it's my Halloween.
Oh no. Did it help you get over the fear?
Well, kind of, and also it's spooky, and Halloween is a spooky time.
Yeah.
These birds, you're right, they are so smart, and I learned so much about them. And yeah, it was a birds of prey program, and yeah, you're right, they're fascinating. And
will we see something like that in the fall again this year, do you think?
um probably not this year because I don't want to terrify myself again, but maybe another animal
Maybe
program.
at some point. Good. Yeah, I was shocked when I found out how intelligent they were. I know we all think of primates, and their intelligence, and dolphins and, whales and other animals that, we classically think of this way. Apparently, we should be thinking of crows and ravens like this as well, So I'm going to take a look at this one. Tina, if you want to do this with me, this would be great. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We're going to recommend some books now. They're getting a lot of media attention. If you'd like to, read some of the reviews with me on these, if you want to take a title or two, if you don't want to, that's okay. These are books coming out soon, June and July, we're talking about regular adult books. We've got The Other Black Girl here, Disappearing Act by Catherine Stedman. How about if I do The Other Black Girl? Are you interested in Disappearing Act, or
Um,
want me to take it? I can take it.
Sure, if you could take it, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So these are books that I haven't read. I just know in the media world, the publishing world, they're getting a lot of attention. Okay, and they sound interesting, and I'm kind of looking forward to, what happens when they come out. The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Delilah Harris. I'm going to tell you what, some publishers, Amazon type comments you'll find about this, is an electric debut about the tension that unfurls when two young Black women meet against the starkly white backdrop of New York City book publishing, a whip-smart and dynamic thriller and sly social commentary that's perfect for anyone who has never felt manipulated, threatened, or overlooked in ever, I'm sorry, not never, who has ever felt manipulated, threatened, or overlooked in the workplace. The Other Black Girl will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last twist. This book is getting all kinds of press from a variety of, book publishers coming out, previews. So that might be something to take a look at. The other one here, The Disappearing Act by Catherine Stedman. Now, I got the large print cover up here, which I know I would enjoy, but I know this is another very popular author, best-selling author, previous two books. Now she comes up with let's see, this is Entertainment Weekly, an unputdownable mystery about nightmares that abound in the pursuit of Hollywood dreams. So let's see, I'll continue here. This is the Amazon. Actress and author Catherine Stedman has written a gripping thriller set in a world close to home that asks the question, in a city where dreams really do come true, how would you make, or what would you go to make the unreal real? All right, so that's a couple. We've got two more here. Let's see. Okay, The Maidens and The Mind is Your Plants. You want me to continue, Tina, or do you want to jump
Sure,
in?
I can take it.
Okay.
Looks like The Maidens is by Alex Michaelides.
Thank you for saying this one, because I don't know how to say his Michaelides. I know I kind of tricked you into this one. Like, I don't know how to say his name. Maybe Tina will.
Okay, so this is from the #1 New York Times selling author of The Silent Patient, comes a spellbinding tale of psychological suspense, weaving together Greek mythology, murder, obsession that further cements Michaelides as a major player in the field. So I think they had me at Greek mythology because that is one of my interests. So it looks like Edward Fosca is a murderer. Of this, Mariana is certain, but Fosca is untouchable, a handsome and charismatic Greek tragedy professor at Cambridge University. Fosca is adored by staff and students alike, particularly by the members of a secret society of female students known as the Maidens. When another body is found, Mariana's obsession with providing Fosca's guilt spirals out of control, threatening to destroy her credibility as well as her closest relationships. But Mariana is determined to stop this killer, even if it costs her everything, including her own life.
It does sound like quite a thriller, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very fast-paced.
Okay, so that's The Maidens by Alex M.
Yes.
All right, how about, let's see, this is Your Mind on Plants. Do you want to take this one, or you want me to pick this one up?
I can take this one too.
All right, thank you.
Okay, this is Your Mind on Plants by Michael Pollan. And This is Your Mind on Plants. Michael Pollan dives deep into 3 plant drugs: opium, caffeine, and mescaline. Did I say that right?
I think it's mescaline, but go ahead. That's
mescaline, good. And throws the fundamental strangeness and arbitrariness of our thinking about them into sharp relief. In this unique blend of history, science, and memoir, as well as participatory journalism, Pollan examines and experiences these plants from several very different angles and contexts, and shines a fresh light on a subject that is all too often treated reductively as a drug, whether illicit or licit. Based in part on an essay published almost 25 years ago, this groundbreaking and singular consideration of psychoactive plants and our attraction to them through time holds up a mirror to our fundamental human needs and aspirations, the operations of our minds, and our entanglement with the natural world. And that's from Amazon.
Yeah, and I know Michael Pollan is a very good author, well regarded, he's written some great books. And so this book sounds, a very interesting nonfiction type piece. So we just gave 4 titles, right? And this is a tiny sample of the things that are coming out in June and July. We'll probably try and come back in a couple months and look at like August, September. All kinds of authors have a lot of great books coming out. And let me, if I can do this. There she is. Hi, Tina. They can get a break from the book covers. So there's all kinds of great books coming out there. And, we encourage you. Tina, thank you so much for joining us today, recommending some great titles,
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Oh, good, good. I like, it's fun talking books, isn't it?
Yes.
And we threw out a variety of titles for people. We're, all kinds of, hopefully we found something for everybody there. So thanks again. I'm Dave Wurzel, and you've been watching PHTV4 Bookshelf. Thank you for watching, and good reading.